Rebirth at the end of the 1970s, Pretty Daughter-in-Law, Leading the House is a beautiful online novel written by Jiang Monan. Chapter 1. Dr. Xia's Adventures in Time and Encounters a Pretty Husband. Chapter 1. Dr. Xia encounters a pretty woman while traveling through time. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Xia Yan felt like she had drunk too much. With only 2 glasses of wine, she suddenly saw a man who made her heart skip a beat. A man has 3-dimensional facial features and deep eyes. Although he is dressed in a solemn and aloof manner, it makes her feel a desire to melt his conquest. His lips are clearly defined and must be very suitable for kissing. Anyway, it's just a dream. So Xia Yan leaned in and took the initiative to fit her lips with him. What are you doing? The man struggled, trying to pull Xia Yan, who was wrapped around him like an octopus, off his body. Shoo, you're not good in your dreams. Please don't move, okay? Let me spoil you. Xia Yan felt that she had been chaste for 30 years, and if she were still so conservative in her dreams, she couldn't even dream of spring. It would be too embarrassing, so she acted recklessly. She didn't even know how alluring her appearance was at this moment, with undulating peaks and every movement testing her willpower. The man gradually lost his resistance. 8-pack abs, you're quite sturdy, with a good waist and long legs. I really can't put it down. Xia Yan's delicate hands flowed on him, and her fingertips seemed to have electricity. Wherever she touched them, there seemed to be a sizzling electric spark. Come on, take me. Xia Yan gently bit the other person's Adam's apple. Now, the man broke through his defense. This is the wife he openly married, a flurry of hands and feet. I almost couldn't find it. It seems that the other party is just like her, both young and inexperienced, unable to understand the charm. When he quickly whipped his horse, Xia Yan felt again, why is it so painful? It's different from what practitioners say, it's not enjoyable at all. Don't, stop, keep making trouble, I'm divorced from you. Xia Yan shouted out in search of liberation. Although she didn't know why she was shouting for divorce in her dreams. This sentence was like a spell, and the other party immediately calmed down. Seemingly hurt by this sentence, he tossed and turned all night and couldn't sleep. But Xia Yan slept soundly. Dawn. Xia Yan was still confused when she suddenly heard a man's voice coming from her ear. Xia Yan, I have signed the divorce agreement. Put it on the table. Since you want to divorce so much, then it's up to you. As soon as Xia Yan opened her eyes and didn't know where she was, she heard a man's restrained and helpless voice. Divorce. What kind of marriage? Xia Yan, who has not been married yet, didn't realize for a moment that this man was the one she dreamt of last night. Have all the dreams now been so intense? Is there a TV series? All the savings, bicycles, and watches at home belong to you, and all the things are on the table. Just take them yourself. I will be back at least a week after this mission. After you leave, just lock the door. The man didn't respond to Xia Yan's words and only focused on Jing's orderly confession. His voice was restrained but not disorganized, indicating that he was a person with stable emotions and ease in emotions. Xia Yan got up from bed, feeling sore all over, and there was something particularly unusual. She couldn't help but whimper and looked up at Shirley's face. Xia Yan couldn't help but feel like she had been struck by lightning. The man in front is dressed in a clean-washed white shirt, with a gray jacket and a handsome face. His temperament is fresh and clean. The key is that the man's face looks exactly the same as the portrait of Shirley she saw in the memorial hall the other day. What the hell are you doing? Shirley. Xia Yan let out a probing cry. Shirley frowned and focused on Xia Yan's face. Xia Yan's face remained as beautiful as ever, impeccable. After getting married, she is currently in a period of transition from being a young girl to a mature young woman, just like the peach tip of a green peach, so beautiful that it touches people's hearts. Shirley couldn't help but tighten his throat when he saw her charming and unaware appearance, but he quickly pursed his lips, suppressing his inner feelings of disappointment. He noticed that Xia Yan's voice had a strange expression, but it was time for the task to be completed. He didn't have time to think about it and gave a faint response. He pushed open the door and hurriedly left. Xia Yan was in a daze when suddenly, a strange memory flooded her mind. Upon receiving it, Xia Yan couldn't help but plop onto the bed behind her, burying her face in the blanket and making a scream. Oh my goodness! She traveled through time and wore it until the late 1970s. As a single mother, she had already married and become the wife of Shirley. That's right, this person is the commemorative figure Shirley whom she saw in the memorial hall. She is also her husband who is causing a divorce. Xia Yan's original body is 20 years old this year, while Shirley is 28 years old. Shirley is engaged in confidentiality work at a large national material base. They have only been married for 3 months, but there are already many conflicts between them. Xia Yan thinks that Shirley is not familiar with the charm, cold and uninteresting, busy with work, and has no time to take care of her life, so she keeps arguing for a divorce and even prepares a divorce report, forcing Shirley to sign it. It seems that Shirley couldn't resist her noise and finally agreed to divorce. And last night, under the initiative of Xia Yan, it was the first time they had married. Oh my goodness, she took the initiative. Thinking of her recklessness last night, Xia Yan's face couldn't help but turn red. Speaking of awkwardness, it's not really worth mentioning. Both sides are not experienced enough, only pain, not happiness. She screamed for a while, and the air inside the quilt was almost sucked dry by her. Then she crawled out of the quilt, breathing in the fresh air in big gulps. The cold air poured into her lungs, reminding her that it was not an illusion, she had really crossed over. Xia Yan sat up from the bed and looked around. The room is a brick and concrete house with a tiled roof, and the interior walls are simply hung with white ash. Apart from that, there is no extra decoration. There is a single-door wardrobe by the window inside the room, and a table is placed next to it. On the table is an alarm clock, a bamboo shell hot water bottle, a set of drinking glasses, 2 long benches against the wall on the ground, and a double bed under her. These are the simple furniture items in the house. Before crossing the country, Xia Yan was a top talented cardiac surgeon under the age of 40 in China. With a young age and a doctoral degree, she had already overcome multiple internationally recognized heart disease problems, gained fame, and was widely respected worldwide. A few days ago, the unit organized a visit to the memorial hall, and Xia Yan took the time to participate. When she saw the portrait of Shirley, she also mourned with a heavy heart. Last night, on her best friend's birthday, she had an extra 2 drinks and never thought she would just travel like this. Last night she thought it was a drunken affair, but she didn't expect it to happen. A person who has been sitting on a cold bench for over a decade studying medicine is indeed not as strong in nature. After digesting various intermittent memories from her original body within an hour, Xia Yan began to face the reality that she may have to live here for a long time. She quickly got up and walked to the table, only to see a divorce agreement with a plum blossom watch, a bicycle key, and a passbook on it. Upon opening her passbook, Xia Yan found 382 yuan in it. The deposit was for a 3-year fixed term, with an interest rate of astonishing 4.5%. The money was deposited monthly, with an excess of 18 yuan and a shortfall of only 3 yuan. Most of it was nearing maturity and could be claimed. 382 yuan. Nowadays, this is a huge sum of money. Being able to save this huge sum of money is mainly due to Shirley's high level and high salary. After the salary adjustment in 1975, according to his level, he can receive 30 yuan per month, which is a reliable high-paying family. From the details of saving money every month, it can be seen that Shirley is a frugal man. Apart from necessary living expenses, he saves money and never spends a penny recklessly. These on the table are almost all of Shirley's belongings. He left all his valuable assets to Xia Yan, who had only been married for 2 months, and left the house clean. This man is okay, not at fault, but taking care of his little wife after divorce. With this in mind, Xia Yan thinks this man has a good character. As for whether to divorce or not, she will reconsider. Not to mention how excellent a man is, just his appearance makes Xia Yan feel that marrying is not worth it. In modern society, it's a perfect celebrity face. It's a man she can't even touch when buying tickets. And now, as long as she is willing, feel whatever she wants. Hee hee. Dr. Xia's mouth watered as he thought of Shirley's handsome appearance. Oh, no, Shirley sacrificed himself at a young age. Xia Yan suddenly remembered this big event. In the introduction of the Memorial Hall, Shirley sacrificed himself on April 14, 1978. The introduction stated that he had a sudden accident at work and gave his life opportunity to his work partner, while unfortunately sacrificing himself. When Shirley just left, he said he wanted to carry out a task. Did he sacrifice himself in this mission? No, right. Are you going to be a widow when you first wear it? Xia Yan fell silent for a moment. Ah. This. Her life is also too weak, isn't it? She looked at the divorce agreement on the table, thinking about the sacrifice Shirley had to make. She chose to jump back and forth between the two terms of ex-wife and widow, crazily considering. She casually picked up the Plum Blossom watch on the table, which is an automatic calendar jumping watch that is now selling for over 290 yuan and is undoubtedly a top luxury item. Glancing at the date on the table, Xia Yan breathed a sigh of relief. It was now March 5, 1978, more than a month before the date of Shirley's sacrifice. Shirley's mission this time is safe. She may not become a widow for a while. Do you want to become an ex-wife? Humph, adults don't make choices. She doesn't want either of these titles. Xia Yan decided to familiarize herself with the life here first, observe the changes, and then make a decision. Chapter 2. Dr. Xia, a black belly, fighting against scum men. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The original owner despised Shirley for taking work as his home, not taking care of his family, being ignorant and unintelligent, and not being able to say heartwarming words. Anyway, there were only 100 dissatisfaction points. But in Dr. Xia's eyes, these are not considered any shortcomings. Because Dr. Xia himself is also such a person. She values men's sense of responsibility, manners, and character more. And none of these seem to be lacking in Shirley. I don't know what kind of immortal character the original owner wanted to marry. Can she still marry a better man than Shirley based on her own conditions? Just as Xia Yan was lost in thought, someone knocked on the door. Before Xia Yan could respond, the person knocking on the door outside had already made a sound. Xiao Xia, I'm a lotus. Can you get up and open the door? I brought you congee. Upon hearing that it was Aunt Lotus, the neighbor next door, Xia Yan quickly responded. Come on. As soon as she opened the door, a woman in her 30s immediately looked at her with enthusiasm. Oh, Xiao Xia, she has a high fever, and indeed her complexion is much worse. Look, your Shifu loves you very much. Before going out, he took rice and asked me to help you cook porridge. I said that Shifu was too polite. A bowl of congee also needs rice for us. However, on the other hand, in our family courtyard, there is someone like Mr. Shi who loves his wife so much. He is the only one who ranks second, and no one dares to rank first. Aunt Lotus is a talkative woman, you can tell she doesn't have any bad intentions. She is just a rural woman with a broken mouth. When talking, you can tell that she is facing Shirley. Praising Shirley vigorously. Her husband Chui Ling is a cadre at the same level as Shirley, but in the eyes of everyone, Shirley is more capable and young, with stronger comprehensive qualities and potential for progress than Cui Ling. Therefore, Aunt Lotus has always been very polite to Xia Yan. Xia Yan saw that the tray in her hand contained not only white rice porridge, but also a dish of fried salted radish and half of salted duck egg. Suddenly her stomach growled. She was really hungry, so she took the tray and said, "Aunt Lotus, thank you for taking the trouble." Lotus looked at Xia Yan's haggard face and hesitated to speak. At this moment, the son of the neighboring house suddenly burst into tears. Upon hearing this, she panicked and threw down the following sentence. "Xiaoxia, when I saw this mission, Xiaorong seemed to have gone too. You should take good care of it yourself. Little brother seems to have fallen, I need to go back and take a look quickly." Before Xia Yan could respond, Lotus panicked and left, because her 3-year-old son Cui Xiaodi was crying even worse next door. When this child cried badly, he would be out of breath and very scary. Lotus had to quickly go and comfort him, telling him not to cry, otherwise he would cry and faint. If the lotus flower is thrown away without any reason, it confuses Master Xia Yanzhang. Who is Xiaorong? She just came over, not all memories can match. After eating white rice porridge with salted duck egg and salty turnips, Xia Yan felt energetic. She put the divorce agreement and passbook into the desk drawer, and she and Shirley each had a key to the drawer. Thinking about checking the time, she put on her watch. There are still some small bills in the drawer, 10 yuan, 5 yuan, 1 yuan, 50 cents, 5 cents. Xia Yan counted and there were still 16 yuan and 37 cents left. This is the living allowance left for Shirley when she was not at home. This man can handle it. I'm not at home and left half a month's salary to my wife to spend. Xia Yan appreciated a few times. Although she is a highly regarded medical doctor, it is only superficial. In fact, she also enjoys watching entertainment gossip and listening to colleagues in the department talk about family matters. She knows that in this land, there are many men who want to marry a free nanny or act as a fertility machine. Dr. Xia missed the best wedding date due to his studies. But she doesn't regret it either. Fortunately, she wasn't married, otherwise she might have been the tragic female lead in a family ethics drama. Dr. Xia has planned not to get married for the rest of her life. Unexpectedly, the heavens couldn't bear to see her, so they let her travel without discussing. They even arranged a marriage for her and forcibly compensated her for her absence. Fortunately, the other party has good character and conditions, and Xia Yan thinks she can handle everything. Dr. Xia used to be the flower of the mountains, but it didn't delay her willingness to fall into the mortal world, taste the atmosphere of human fireworks, and live a down-to earth life. From the current signs, it appears that Shirley is a good man who is frugal towards himself and generous towards his wife. He is handsome, well-established, and even served as a deputy in a relatively large unit. As a directly affiliated unit, if transferred to local work, his level is sufficient to serve as a local leader. A man who is so ambitious, excellent, and of noble character, I don't know what he is dissatisfied with in his original self. He is noisy, crying, and self-abusive, causing a fever and losing his life. He uses all kinds of means to insist on divorcing Shirley. Are you mentally disabled? Xia Yan cursed lightly, feeling that the art style was a bit off. Oh, isn't she just cursing herself? Forget it, stop cursing. Being young is good. Although I had a high fever last night, after eating, I feel like my body is recovering soon. It's still early. Xia Yan grabbed the money from the drawer and put it in her pocket, intending to take a walk to the nearby Dapu town to familiarize herself with the environment as soon as possible. Xia Yan, where did you hide? Did you get married or divorced? I've been waiting for you here for 2 days. How did you come? Just as she arrived at the entrance of Dapu town, Xia Yan was stopped by a man. The man has oily and powdery hair, with long hair and bangs covering his eyes. The hair at the back is growing almost to his neck, and it's probably 3 days since he washed it. There's white dandruff floating on it, and the oil squeezed out is enough to stir-fry a plate of vegetables. Dressed in a deliberate and sophisticated attire, with a white shirt, 4 pens were inserted in the front pocket to showcase one's identity. Nowadays, being able to insert a pen is a symbol of culture. Inserting 2 pens should have a more cultural meaning, but if you insert 4 or 5 pens, it is said to be a pen repairman, and I don't know if this man understands. His lower body is grey khaki pants, different from the loose men's pants now. His pants have been changed and are very slim, outlining the image of a buttock's egg, vividly portraying the image of a creamy little boy. He should have dressed himself in the style of the male lead Chin Han in Outside the Window, but unfortunately, painting a tiger does not turn out to be like a dog. If we had to compare, his overall image was 108,000 miles worse than that of Shirley. When Xia Yan saw this man, she remembered that his name was Wu Bing, an unemployed wanderer from Dapu town. He seemed to be attracted to Xia Yan's beauty and was clinging to her. Xia Yan didn't like him, but last night she suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Using Wu Bing as an excuse, she claimed to have found true love and caused a big divorce with Shirley. Shirley was so stimulated that he finally agreed to divorce her. What a foolish move. Splashing dirty water onto one's own head. Mingming and Wu Bing have nothing to do, they insist on having feelings. The original owner is such a silly person. How dare Wu Bing entangle her in broad daylight? Xia Yan had a stern expression and bluntly said. What kind of divorce? I'm on good terms with Shirley. Wu Bing, let me tell you, Shirley and I are a disciplined marriage, protected by the law. If you break the discipline of marriage, you will be sentenced. Chapter 3. Behind the scenes of women with good taste. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Yan felt disgusted when she saw this greasy young man. She didn't know why the original owner used this kind of person as an excuse to get divorced. At present, Xia Yan was quick to cut through the chaos and firmly refused, quickly stripping Wu Bing from her life. Xia Yan, can't you? Are you crazy? Didn't you agree to divorce and marry me this week? You're deceiving your feelings. You're such a fickle woman. Wu Bing became angry with embarrassment. Wu Bing's accusation is quite heinous. In this era of great reputation, if a woman is accused of deceiving her emotions and being fickle, she can hardly hold her head up in the crowd, and her family will also be ashamed. Xia Yan stopped her steps and said to Wu Bing, who was following her, with a smile on her face, Wu Bing, I am a married woman. You openly teased me on the street. Do you think the police station will let you go? Well, the police station has arrived. Do you want to go in with me and talk to the police? Wu Bing looked up and suddenly saw the sign of the Dapu town police station. He was so scared that he stopped his steps and cursed. You're so cruel. I'll come back to you later. We can't just forget about it. Putting aside 2 harsh words, Wu Bing saw a police officer in white and blue pants walking out of the police station, looking at them in confusion. He knew it was unreasonable and was afraid that Xia Yan would really make a scene, so he quickly ran away in fear. Xia Yan smiled with satisfaction. This guy seems to be both fierce and cunning, both strong on the outside and weak on the inside. I don't know what the original main picture is about. Does he have a smell of hair oil when he doesn't wash his hair? Wu Bing walked into a small alley in the town and remembered Xia Yan's attitude. He was furious and kicked the earthen wall, causing it to peel off. Wu Bing. A woman called him. Wu Bing looked up and saw the woman in front of him. His eyes flickered and he smiled maliciously, saying, Oh, it's Nurse Xiao. Do you know why Xia Yan suddenly treated me coldly and even pulled me to see the police? Even though you said her attitude had loosened, she planned to divorce. Xia Yan probably hasn't figured it out yet, and her attitude is still fluctuating. This is the time to test your ability. A good woman is afraid of being entangled by a man. As long as you persist in pestering her, she will be moved by you sooner or later. Xiao Rong patiently advised. Entangled. Isn't this trick useful anymore? How do I feel like Xia Yan's gaze and tone of speech are different from before? Just now she wanted to pull me to the police station, and I believe she can really do it. She scared me to death. Although Wu Bing exudes a strong aura, he is afraid of wearing a uniform. Xia Yan even threatened him with damaging his marriage and teasing married women, and he was really scared. Nowadays, the crime of hooliganism can be executed by firing squad. He has witnessed the big hooligans in the town eating free peanuts with his own eyes, and he doesn't want to end up like that. Previously, Xia Yan was easy to handle. If he was a little more aggressive, she would be suppressed. Who would have thought that Xia Yan remained calm today, and a few words scared him away? To be honest, Wu Bing hasn't recovered from this yet and feels really ashamed of herself. Upon hearing this, Xiao Rong was also surprised. She frowned and said, "You have a good attitude, please coax her, don't rush to roar, speak loudly. What she lacks is that men treat her well, right? Okay, give me another 5 yuan, and I'll try pestering her again. If it weren't for her beautiful appearance, I wouldn't want to do this again. If the defendant were to break the rules of marriage, that wouldn't be a joke." Wu Bing grinned and extended his hand to Xiao Rong. Xiao Rong saw Wu Bing's lion mouth wide open, causing her flesh to ache. However, in order to keep Wu Bing clinging to Xia Yan, she had to endure the pain and give him 5 yuan. Wu Bing snatched the money, stuffed it into his pocket, and walked unsteadily. Xiao Rong walked out of the alley and suddenly a woman appeared in front of her. "Xiao Rong, what are you doing in the alley?" Xia Yan. "Why are you here?" Xiao Rong didn't expect to ruin Xia Yan's marriage, causing trouble behind her back. However, she was hit by Xia Yan and couldn't help but feel a cold sweat on her head, stuttering when speaking. "Oh, I happened to pass by and saw you here. Say hello." Xia Yan grinned as if she had just greeted Xiao Rong and left as if nothing had happened. Xiao Rong's heart just landed. Judging from the situation, Xia Yan didn't notice the connection between her and Wu Bing. Xiao Rong wiped the cold sweat off her head and quickly turned around to leave. Xia Yan turned around and looked at the back of Xiao Rong as she left, with a cold smile on her face. It's too early to expose Xiao Rong and Wu Bing now, the timing is not right. She needs to find a suitable time and place to do this. When the Lotus sent kanji, she mentioned Xiao Rong, which was obviously a hint. Xia Yan was still confused at that time. Now, Xia Yan has figured out the situation. Xiao Rong, the nurse at this medical institution, seems quite impressive. She is probably secretly in love with Shirley, and is determined to separate Xia Yan from Shirley, so she is willing to bribe Wu Bing to entangle Xia Yan. Xiao Rong's plan was actually about to succeed. Unexpectedly, she died suddenly from a fever, and Dr. Xia walked over. Xia Yan couldn't help but hate to make her teeth itch as she understood this section. Originally, Xiao Rong was the driving force behind her journey. Think beautiful, with her around, Xiao Rong won't even have a single strand of Shirley's hair in this lifetime. Xiao Rongping's fashion is quite good, she is proactive and enthusiastic towards people, and as a nurse, everyone has a headache and a headache. When she needs to see a doctor, if she encounters Xiao Rong every time she sees a doctor, her attitude is indescribable. The buttocks needle will also gently scratch the injection site with the little finger, distract the patient's attention with speech, and the needle will be injected unconsciously. So, although it's all details, it's hard to resist the fact that illness is the most vulnerable time. At this time, a professional is so considerate and caring, and everyone invisibly magnifies Xiao Rong's kindness. Xiao Rong's reputation in the family courtyard is simply indestructible. Xia Yan is the new face in the courtyard. She hasn't been very good at being a person for the past 2 months, always with a cold face. In addition, she hasn't been assigned a job yet and has been stuck at home, like a lazy woman with nothing to do. She also fights with Shirley all day, and her reputation in the courtyard is extremely poor. When the family members of the courtyard talk about Xia Yan, they can't help but shake their heads and sigh. Unfortunately, Director Shi, who has such good conditions, married such a lazy woman with no education and a rural household registration. It can be said that Xiao Rong's reputation and Xia Yan's reputation are in the family courtyard, one in the sky and the other on the ground. So, if Xia Yan directly tells the big guy that Xiao Rong bribed the little thug and ruined her marriage, it is likely that Xia Yan, not Xiao Rong, will be scolded to the point of bloodshed by everyone. Xiao Rong is an angel in white, a careful and considerate nurse. She is so kind and sensible, how could she possibly ruin someone else's marriage? Xia Yan, if you don't live a good life yourself, don't blame Nurse Xiao. Nurse Xiao is a good person. Xia Yan, you're throwing dirty water too much, right? Xia Yan could even think with her little finger what the family members in the courtyard would say about her and Xiao Rong. Chapter 4. Dr. Xia's Action to Save People. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Xia Yan is a medical doctor who has been studying for decades, but she is not a bookworm. She held down her anger and waited for the best opportunity to defeat the enemy with one move, making it impossible for Xiao Rong to jump in the future. Not only that, but she also had to press Xiao Rong to the ground and rub her. T-shaped street is said to be the busiest street in Dapu town. In fact, 10 minutes walk is enough. It's nothing more than a supply and marketing agency, a stir-fry shop, a shop making xiaobing, baked cake and griddle, a hardware shop, a local product shop, a tailor shop, and nothing else. Stirred by Wu Bing and Xiao Rong, Xia Yan strolled around the busiest T-shaped street in the town, feeling nothing more than this. She eagerly prepared to go home. As Xia Yan was walking out of town, she suddenly heard a hurried cry for help coming from the front. Someone, help my younger brother. He can't breathe anymore. Is there anyone? Can someone help me? Xia Yan looked up and saw 2 meters ahead, a teenager about 16 or 7 years old, holding a 5 or 6-month-old baby at a loss, tears streaming down her face, so anxious that she could only scream. The number of onlookers gradually increased, but when faced with the soft and sticky little baby, everyone was helpless and didn't know how to handle it. Xia Yan quickly approached and observed the baby's condition while asking, "What's going on?" "Just now, as I passed by my third uncle's door, she stuffed a longan into my younger brother's mouth. He seemed to have swallowed it, maybe the longan nucleus was too big and choked." Although the young man was nervous, at least he made things clear. "It's not choking, it's blocking my trachea and I can't breathe. Come on, give him a hug." Xia Yan took the baby, squatted down, placed it on her lap with her face down and her body facing away, and then pushed it forward along the baby's back with 2 fingers. Airway blockage, the Heimlich first aid method is the most effective. Sure enough, with the professional treatment of Xia Yan, she only pushed twice and pounced. The baby spit out a huge longan nucleus in its mouth, and then, wow, cried out. Her face, which had turned black due to lack of oxygen, quickly turned red and rosy. Wow, the longan kernel is spitting out. With such a big kernel, even adults would be blocked. The little doll has a lot of luck. It's time to meet someone who knows the industry. Passers-by praised it endlessly. The boy's face changed from white to red and he stopped crying. "Alright, it's okay. In the future, be careful not to feed such a small baby with nuclear food, as well as foods that are too soft, sticky, or too large. In short, feeding should be more careful." After Xia Yan finished speaking, she casually handed the baby back to the boy. "Thank you, sister." The young man burst into tears of joy, hugged the baby, looked at it again and again, and finally breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that his brother was breathing normally. At this moment, he looked up and realized that Xia Yan had quietly left. After the incident, brush off your clothes and leave no achievements or fame. Xia Yan returned home with the joy of saving someone's life. Although she doesn't know how many patients she saved as a doctor, every success still brings her a sense of joy. This can also be considered one of the driving forces behind her medical career. The family courtyard is surrounded by a mountain valley, surrounded by a wall, covering an area of about 5 acres. It is all black tiled and red brick and concrete bungalows, row by row, standing flat in the white water of the Black Mountain. The regularity exudes a serious atmosphere, making it clear at a glance that this is not an ordinary residential building. Married officials with family members can share a separate room, while unmarried officials can only live in collective dormitories. Xia Yankai walked into the family courtyard and ran into Lotus flowers in front of her. Lotus held her youngest son in one hand and her eldest son in the other. The eldest son, Cui Dadi, also carried his 4-year-old sister, Cui Xiaomei, on her back. Cui Xiaomei also held a rope in her hand, which was dragging a wooden duckling with wheels on its feet, which could be dragged along. This big family walking together is like a hen with a group of chicks searching for food, lively and lively. Seeing Xia Yan, Lotus quickly leaned forward and whispered. "Xiaoxia, your mother is here. She is sitting in front of your house waiting for you. I asked her to come to my house and sit down first, but she refused. So I made a glass of sugar water for her to drink." There are many Lotus children, and the family relies solely on Cui Ling's salary to make a living. Although Cui Ling's salary is high, he is difficult for a hero to compete with 4 fists. With so many mouths to feed alone, the rural old lady still needs to remit 5 yuan back every month, making life difficult. The money in the Cui family is always used up before the end of the month. Once there is an urgent need for money at the end of the month, it is inevitable to ask Shirley for help. Shirley always lends money to him happily. Cui Lingyue has received his salary and will quickly return it to Shirley in full. Because of this, the relationship between the two families has been close and always good, so even if Lotus knows that Xia Yan and Shirley often argue, she is also polite to Xia Yan. She is saying this now because she is afraid that Xia Yan will secretly blame her for not treating her mother well and letting her sit outside. Xia Yan thanked the Lotus and went to see her mother Lin Guizhu with a worried heart. She changed her heart and was quite worried about her behavior being wrong. Lin Guizhu noticed her flaws and said, "You know, there's no such thing as a mother." Walking to the door, Xia Yan saw a middle-aged woman sitting on the steps, with a fertilizer bag written with the words urea under her feet. The bag seemed to contain something, bulging. "Mom, are you here?" Xia Yan cleared her throat and shouted. "Xia Yan, where have you been? I've been waiting for you for a long time. You're such a rundown place, you can't even stop a tractor. Birds don't defecate, which has caused me to walk so far that my feet are blistered." As soon as she saw Xia Yan, Lin Guizhu complained impolitely. Xia Yan sounded quite angry. This is a family courtyard, and no one is farming, so naturally there are no tractors. It may sound like walking a long way, but Lin Guizhu must have taken a shuttle bus to Dapu town and got off. It's only a kilometer away from here, and this foot will make bubbles. No wonder her original mother was thinking about getting divorced. There's something wrong with her original family. If you want your daughter to live well and get married, why bother burying her living environment? Besides, the environment here is indeed a bit monotonous and boring, but why not mention the good aspects? My son-in-law has an iron rice bowl, a high official position, a high salary, and is young and able to move forward. The key is to be handsome. Not to mention all the good things, just mentioning the shortcomings in life. I have always lived in the countryside without much vision, no wonder I was led astray by Lin Guizhu. According to her original memory, Lin Guizhu's disdain for her daughter's current living environment was due to her single-minded desire to facilitate her divorce. This was because the foolish son of the village head, Sun Dafu, liked Xia Yan the most and still kept muttering that Xia Yan was his wife every day. "Mom, come inside. If you don't call and notify me, I can ride my bike to the town to pick you up, so you don't have to work so hard." Xia Yan counterattacked in her own way. Chapter 5. Brainwashing Mothers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The phone in the village is placed at the village head's house. If I go to call him, Sun Dafu will keep insisting on not letting me go. He will only let me go if he sees you. You have already married into this corner of the mountain, how can I find someone to give him? Lin Guizhu speaks recklessly. The flames of memory ignited, and Xia Yan realized that she was not only foolish and filial, but also a demon who helped her younger brother. She has been brainwashed by Lin Guizhu since childhood, taking it as her responsibility to help her younger brother start a family and contribute to her family. The original owner was reluctant to eat, drink, and work from childhood to adulthood. These were all small things, and the most terrifying thing was that for the sake of her younger brother's marriage, she almost got married to Sun Dafu by Lin Guizhu. The situation has escalated to this point, and the original owner has no complaints. No wonder Lin Guizhu has done something bad and dares to keep repeating it. Xia Yan frowned and opened the door to let Lin Guizhu in, saying, "Mom, I'm already married. Don't mention Sun Dafu anymore, okay? Why can't we mention it? If you had married Sun Dafu, your younger brother would have married Sun Xiaohua long ago. If you married Dafu and his sister married your younger brother, the two families would have become one. What's wrong with that? If things go smoothly, I might even have grandchildren. It's all damn Shirley. If it weren't for him cutting off his beard halfway and ruining Sun Dafu's good deed, taking advantage of your confusion and taking advantage, you wouldn't have married into this corner of the mountain." Lin Guizhu knew that Shirley was not there, so she spoke very recklessly. Originally, Xia Yan's older brother Xia Guang had a crush on Sun Dafu's sister Sun Xiaohua, and although Sun Dafu was foolish, he kept peeping at Xia Yan's outstanding appearance. When the Xia family came to propose marriage, the village chief did not despise the poverty of the Xia family and did not scold them for wanting to eat swan meat. Instead, he proposed to change the marriage and exchange Xia Yan for Xiaohua. Changing parents is also very common in rural areas, usually for farmers from poor families who have to do it in order to marry their son. The village head's family is considered wealthy in the village, and they don't have to worry about food and clothing. They used the move of changing parents because Sun Dafu, a foolish son, had an IQ of only 7 or 8 years old. In his early 20s, he still wet his bed and drool, but this couldn't stop him from becoming physically mature and starting to think of women. Who is a normal person willing to marry him? But the village chief also doesn't want his son to marry someone as foolish. If he has another foolish grandson, won't the rest of his life be over? So the village chief proposed a change of parents. Of course Xia Yan is not willing. Although she is foolish and filial, she definitely doesn't want to marry a fool. She is disgusting. Sun Dafu runs after girls in the village all day and even pulls his pants down in front of them. Xia Yan was unwilling, but she didn't dare to refuse directly. She could only use a strategy of delaying and not making a decision. Lin Guizhu saw that her beloved Xia Guang couldn't marry Sun Xiaohua and was very haggard, so she and Sun village chief came up with a strategy of cooking cooked rice with raw rice. On a dark and stormy night, Xia Yan was knocked unconscious by Lin Guizhu and was sent to the earth temple at the village head. Sun village chief also sent Sun Dafu to the temple. Who knew that as soon as Sun Dafu entered the temple and closed the door, he was knocked unconscious by someone. It was Shirley who knocked Sun Dafu unconscious. During his mission, Shirley was poisoned by the love flower of the opponent's beautiful snake. After restraining himself and getting rid of the opponent's tracking, he hid in the local temple at the village head, hoping to wait for the medicinal energy to pass before returning. Unexpectedly, by chance, he had a skin-to-skin relationship with Xia Yan. Shirley did not default on his debts. After returning to his unit and submitting the task, he came to the village and married Xia Yan. Lin Guizhu did something shameful for herself. He gave his daughter to a fool, so he didn't dare to speak up. He could only ask for a large amount of dowry and reluctantly married Xia Yan to Shirley. I thought things would just pass like this. Unexpectedly, Xia Guang didn't think much about Sun Xiaohua's tea, didn't want to eat, and lost another round of weight. Lin Guizhu felt heartbroken. So, over the past 2 months, she occasionally came to see Xia Yan and brainwashed her while Shirley was away from work, criticizing the life here and speaking ill of him. Under the combination of multiple factors, coupled with the fact that the original body was indeed short-sighted and had both foolish filial piety and supporting younger brother demons, that's why they have been clamoring to divorce their high-quality husband Shirley. After Dr. Xia's visit to Lin Guizhu, he triggered this memory and finally understood how his original identity married Shirley, who did not match his identity at all, and why he was causing a divorce from Shirley. There are so many demons and monsters around Darenqing, whether it's stirring up trouble, adding fuel to the fire, or secretly causing trouble, and her true nature is unclear. No wonder it almost caused a divorce. Mom, the mountain corner is quite good. I heard that the leader is about to consider arranging work for us family members, and we can still switch from farming to non-farming. Isn't that good? In the future, I will live a peaceful life with Shirley. If you want to have a grandson, I will quickly give birth to one for you. My nephew is also a next-generation relative. Hehe, don't mention the past. Xia Yan knew that to make Lin Guizhu give up her fantasies, she had to clearly state her attitude. Unexpectedly, upon hearing Xia Yan's words, Lin Guizhu exploded. She urgently said, "The leader wants to arrange work for the family members. If he wants to arrange it, he also needs to arrange it for your younger brother, isn't he? Isn't your younger brother a family member? You have already married a girl, and with Shirley taking care of you, the opportunity to switch from farming to non-farming will be given to your younger brother. After he transfers his household registration, it will be much easier to find a partner. Not to mention marrying Xiaohua, there are plenty of girls in the city who have jobs to choose from." Mom, the leader of the family, said that arranging family members means spouses and children, not brothers and sisters, which is clearly stipulated in the document. Even if I want to, it's useless. I definitely can't arrange for my younger brother. Xia Yan refused directly. In fact, there is still room for operation. It depends on whether Shirley is willing or not. It is still possible to arrange a temporary worker for Xia Guang and his team. The living conditions are definitely better than in their hometown, but Xia Yan is unwilling. She finally got rid of the feudal favoritism and patriarchal family of her original origin, but she didn't want to bring this family here anymore and come to take care of herself every day, which made her nauseous. Upon hearing this, Lin Guizhu's red-headed document clearly stated that she was a rural woman who had never seen much of the world, so she could only believe it. "Where's Shirley?" Lin Guizhu looked around and asked. "I went on a mission and it will take several days to come back." Xia Yan breathed a sigh of relief for Shirley, not having to face this resentful mother-in-law to escape a disaster. "Your father has been feeling unwell these days, lying in bed and moaning. Since Shirley is not here, you can come home with me. Your father loves you the most. Seeing you go home, he must be much better." Lin Guizhu didn't give up yet, feeling that there was still room for improvement in the matter between Xia Yan and Sun Dafu. She took advantage that Xia Yan was not yet pregnant with Shirley's child, and there was still a chance. First coax Xia Yan back home, and then find a way to hold her. As long as Sun Dafu takes advantage, Shirley will definitely despise Xia Yan. It's impossible for Xia Yan to divorce at that time. Xia Yan readily agreed. Since she has used her original body and her father is sick, no matter what, she should go and visit her. Although until now, she had no memories of Xia Zhicheng hurting her. Chapter 6. Awakening Memory. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Promising to go home with Lin Guizhu, Dr. Xia wanted to take the opportunity to familiarize himself with his original family, so that he could handle anything freely in the future. She slowly realized now that although the memories of the original owner remained intact in her mind, she could not obtain relevant memories without touching the corresponding people and events. She cannot become someone without a past, otherwise it is easy for her to reveal her true identity. So, taking advantage of Shirley's mission, she quickly went home to awaken her memory. When Shirley returned, she wouldn't be exposed to any flaws. In Shirley's unit, those who can be promoted are all elites. Shirley is young and has already held important positions, indicating that he is an elite among the elites. Shirley must be a person with a strong inner strength and extremely strong observation ability. When she woke up, if it weren't for Shirley's upcoming mission, she might have already become suspicious of her. Therefore, Dr. Xia needs to be fully prepared. It's already lunchtime now, and Lin Guizhu is clamoring for a meal. The family dormitory does not have a ready-made kitchen, and they only build a honeycomb coal stove on the hallway of the dormitory to cook for themselves. There was also one at their doorstep, but today Xia Yan didn't even notice that the honeycomb coal needed to be continued. At this moment, when the fire was ignited, all the coal inside was burned through and turned off. Xia Yan thought that she would have to stay for a few days at home. She had to turn off the engine like honeycomb coal, so there was no need to start the engine again at this time. So she went to the cafeteria to cook. The canteen here is run by the public. It is good in quality and cheap in quantity. A mantu has a double weight, and the meat is also cooked in a large pot. The trembling in the pot makes people drool. Xia Yan spent 4 liang of food stamps, bought 4 white flour mantu, 3 liang of meat stamps, and made a pot of fat and lean pork with vegetables soup for free. She also made a pot of vegetable soup, filled the bamboo basket that served as the food box, and took it home. Lin Guizhu ate 3 white flour mantu, and the meat was basically hers. Finally, she drank the remaining vegetable soup clean, which made Xia Yan exclaim that Lin Guizhu had a good appetite. After eating and drinking enough, the two of them set off for home. Lin Guizhu suggested riding a bicycle back and letting Xia Yan take her. The Xia family is located locally, about 20 miles away, and can be reached by bike for over an hour. Xia Yan also wanted to familiarize herself with the local situation, so she readily agreed. Anyway, Shirley also left the bicycle key for himself, it's not worth it. Before leaving, Lin Guizhu pointed to the urea bag at the door and said, "Inside are the white radishes and potatoes harvested in the field. You can put them inside the house." It seems that Lin Guizhu still needs face, knowing the principle of not being empty-handed when visiting. Okay. Xia Yan took the urea bag into the house, locked the door, unlocked the locked bicycle in the hallway, and then took Lin Guizhu away. Bicycles are 80% new and trendy, with a mainstream and trendy design. Riding on the road, pedestrians look envious, even more stylish than driving a Ferrari in her later years. Xia Yan is 170 centimeters tall. In these days, there are not many girls in the south who can be taller than her, and she can almost be considered Mount Everest among women. It's not an exaggeration to describe her as having fair skin, beautiful appearance, and long legs. Due to her tall stature and long legs, Xia Yan effortlessly pedaled the men's 28-bar bicycle. Xia Yan is very satisfied with her new appearance. She has talent and a husband who has unlimited prospects and loves her. Xia Yan finds that her life here is also good. Before, she had fantasized about living a rural life in the countryside after retirement. It seems that even the heavens have responded to her dream and sent her directly to the countryside, just as if her dream had been realized ahead of schedule. You ride slowly, so fast, be careful not to fall into the ditch. Xia Yan pedaled rapidly, but Lin Guizhu, sitting on the back shelf, felt a bit scared and trembling. When Xia Yan rode to Xiajiagu, her memories came to mind one by one. She rode to the entrance of her small courtyard with familiarity, stopped the car, and supported the ground with her left foot, allowing Lin Guizhu to get off the car. The black-tiled earthen wall and the two courtyard in a zigzag shape are the luxury residences of the Xia family's farmhouse. Upon seeing this courtyard, Dr. Xia's many memories of the Xia family surfaced. Sister, have you come back? You also rode your brother.in Law's bike back. TSK, can I ride it for a while? Upon hearing the commotion, Xian, the third younger brother, ran out of the house and circled around his bicycle, overjoyed. Okay, take it. Xia Yan generously handed over the handlebars to Xia and is 18 years old this year and no longer studies. She comes home to do farm work and has a lively personality. Don't ride him, he has never ridden a bicycle before. If he falls and scratches the paint, don't ride him. Xian, this is a new car. Lin Guizhu scolded and stopped Xian. Then I can wash the car, is that okay? Xian couldn't bear the rare opportunity to have intimate contact with bicycles, so she took the initiative to invite them. Okay, wash it clean. Lin Guizhu does not object to this. Xia Yan thinks that Lin Guizhu is overprotective and overly protective of bicycles. People only have this attitude when facing valuable items they belong to. It seems that Lin Guizhu, taking advantage of Shirley's absence, asked her to ride the bicycle back with the idea of owning it in her heart. Lin Guizhu's abacus moved too loudly, and Xia Yan could hear it from a distance of 3 meters. Mom, it's just a bicycle. You don't need to protect it like this. Let Xian learn how to ride, and you don't need to wash it. Anyway, it gets dirty when it gets dusty on the road. Xia Yan deliberately said. Anyway, I've already ridden my bike back. Let's leave it at home and let your dad ride it for a few days. Let Xian clean it up and put it inside the house. If someone comes to match Xia Guang, it can also boost his face. You have to support Xia Guang on this small matter, otherwise, if he can't get married, wouldn't it be your fault? Lin Guizhu blurted out. Sure enough, Xia Yan's belongs to the Xia family. Xia Yan is too lazy to argue with her. Anyway, the car won't be given to her family. She'll just ride it away when the time comes. The bicycle was bought by Shirley, and Shirley's money was also exchanged with his life. It wasn't brought by the strong wind. Why was Lin Guizhu taking possession of it with just one sentence? At this moment, Xia Zhicheng, who was rumored to be lying in bed and shouting, came out of the room with a hoe in his hand, ready to go down to the ground. He was in good spirits. Dad, have you recovered from your illness? Why don't you lie down more? Mom said you were screaming in bed. Xia Zhicheng is in his early 50s, with a small nose and eyes. Xia Yan doesn't look like him at all. I don't know how he could give birth to a girl as beautiful as Xia Yan. Xia Yan is the most beautiful in the whole family. Xia Guang, Xian, and 2 younger sisters, Xia Chao and Xia Mai, none of whom are as outstanding as Xia Yan. Everyone is an average-looking person. Where am I sick? Your mother is talking nonsense. Xia Zhicheng was dissatisfied with his wife using him as a cover to deceive Xia Yan into returning home. What excuse is not good to say that he is sick? What a touch of mold. Xia Zhicheng, who was bedridden, was about to go down to the ground. Before leaving, he glanced at Lin Guizhu, picked up a hoe on his shoulder, and left. Chapter 7. You are not your own. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guizhu, where did you go early in the morning? Today, a city resident came to see you and inquired at the village entrance. Someone said you left early in the morning. That person seemed to have an urgent matter and left disappointed, saying they would come back to see you tomorrow. The person who came to talk is Lu Yinpan, the wife of village chief Sunday. Talking to Lin Guizhu in her mouth, her eyes kept looking at Xia Yan, which made Xia Yan feel uncomfortable all over. Her eyes were like a ruler, measuring Xia Yan's figure, as if she wanted to measure her married life by her weight. City dwellers. Who is it? At the beginning, Lin Guizhu's expression was very indifferent. A woman surnamed Xia, who is about the same age as you. I see why she looks so familiar to me. Later, I thought to myself, oh, she looks a bit like Xia Yan. As soon as Lu Yinpan finished speaking, Lin Guizhu immediately lost her color. She pulled Lu Yinpan to the side and lowered her voice, speaking stealthily. At first, Xia Yan didn't pay attention, but later she accidentally noticed that when Lin Guizhu and Lu Yinpan were talking, she glanced at her. At this glance, Xia Yan had a feeling that all of Lin Guizhu's sneaky actions were against her alone. What's going on? Is that city woman coming here related to herself? The other 4 children of the Xia family, Xia Guang, Xia An, Xia Mai, and Xia Chao, all left the house and circled around their bicycles. They were eager to try and learn how to ride bicycles. Originally, Xia Yan didn't think anything of it, but seeing the appearance of these 4 Xia family children, they looked out of place with her. Thinking about Lu Yinpan's words, did that city woman surnamed Xia look like her? Ah! This is it possible that she is not Lin Guizhu's biological child? This plot is quite bloody. But it's not entirely impossible. If it were my biological daughter, would my mother want her to marry a fool? As a mother, she personally prescribed medicine and sent her to Sun Tianfu's mouth, almost stripped and washed, and directly had someone swallow it. Xia Yan is a medical student. She knows that appearance can be inherited, and her children usually look like the previous generation, with significant differences. The probability of genetic mutation causing a complete lack of resemblance in appearance is very low, as can be seen from the other 4 children of the Xia family. Their appearance fully conforms to genetics, and they have not deviated from the stubborn genes of the Xia family's ugliness. They have also inherited Xia Zhicheng's flaw. Small nose and small eyes. And to be honest, she doesn't look like the Xia family at all. Xia Yan couldn't help but develop a curiosity about that city woman. Lu Yinpan was finally sent away by Lin Guizhu. As Lu Yinpan left, she secretly glanced at Xia Yan. She thought Xia Yan hadn't seen it, but in fact, Xia Yan had already felt it. Lu Yinpan looked at her so much to confirm if she looked like a city woman surnamed Xia, right? Most of the children in the village have never touched their bicycles, and I don't know who said about Xia Yan riding a bicycle back home. Everyone rushed over to look at the bicycles. Xia An instructed the children who were watching the excitement to fetch water from the well, and took a cloth to clean their bicycles. The village children were so envious that their eyes were about to stare out. One child asked cautiously. Xia An, we're the best of each other. Yesterday, I gave you a cauliflower snake and asked me to touch my bike, okay? Okay, touch it, but be gentle, otherwise the paint will peel off and my mom will scold. Xia An is generous and authentic. From his tone, Xia Yan could feel that Xia An had already considered bicycles as family property. Sister's property belongs to the family, it belongs to their 2 sons, and Xia An has been exposed to it since childhood. She naturally regards her sister's property as her own. Xia Yan saw that Lin Guizhu was going to chop pigsty, so she found a backpack and pretended to be going to chop pigsty, so she left home. It's not about letting Xia Yan lie down and enjoy herself when she comes home from afar. If Xia Yan can take the initiative to work, Lin Guizhu is naturally willing to do so. Xia Yan went out, turned left and right, and caught up with Lu Yinpan, who was walking home. "Aunt Yinpan, just now you said there was a city resident looking for my mother. Can you tell me?" Xia Yan greeted and asked directly, her eyes fixed on Lu Yinpan's face, observing the changes in her expression. City people looking for your mother. It's nothing like that, haha. I was just joking with your mother. Your mother is always digging for food in the dirt, how could there be city people looking for her? Lu Yinpan's face flashed with obvious panic, she lied. Xia Yan saw that she didn't want to mention it, so it must have been Lin Guizhu who asked her to shut up. She said. Oh, that's it. I just said, how could an outsider look like me? It's really strange. Aren't I my parents' biological child? How could I look like an outsider? Haha. Lu Yinpan's eyes flickered and couldn't help but lock onto Xia Yan's face. Xia Yan is not only a doctor, but also a compulsory course in psychology. She fully interprets Lu Yinpan's body language. There was a city resident who came to look for Lin Guizhu, who looks very similar to you. It can even be directly interpreted as, yes, you are not Lin Guizhu's biological child. That's enough. Shirley has a lot of resources there, and she can ask him to help her investigate when the time comes. We watched you grow up from a young age. How could you not have been born to Guizhu? Oh, Xia Yan, I heard that the place where you married is very mountainous and the conditions are very difficult. The elderly say that women are afraid of marrying the wrong man. It's better to leave and go back to their mother's house while you haven't had children yet. We're still waiting for you, De Fu. You don't even know how obsessed that child is. He's been reciting your name all day, and he's lost almost 10 pounds. Lu Yinpan changed the topic and relentlessly promoted Sun Dafu. Yinpan auntie, I am currently engaged in a disciplined marriage and cannot divorce casually. Moreover, if I disrupt a disciplined marriage, all those involved will be imprisoned. Uncle's son is the village chief, and he should understand these rules. Xia Yan said with a smile. The reply of the hidden needle in the sponge made Lu Yinpan leave with resentment. But Lu Yinpan was also strange. Xia Yan's return this time seemed much smarter than before, not so dull and dull. Can people be trained when they go to the disciplinary department? Xia Yan doesn't just have one Lu Yinpan to ask. If that city woman asked for directions at the village entrance, she must have asked many people. Others are busy with farm work and have no intention of meddling. Only when Lu Yinpan saw Xia Yan coming back and wanted to talk, did he use this as an excuse to take the initiative to come and pass the message. Early in the morning, who might outsiders meet when asking questions at the village entrance? That must be those people who usually get up early to do farm work. Xia Yan thought for a moment and searched through her memory. Soon, she roughly knew who to ask. So Xia Yan took the initiative to come and inquire. Quickly, based on the clues provided by 5 or 6 people, Xia Yan outlined the image of the city woman. Wearing golden-rimmed glasses, with neatly curled hair, dressed in a very stylish and eye-catching manner, she looks very similar to Xia Yan. Of course, according to her age, Xia Yan looks very similar to her. The other party didn't come alone, driving a military green jeep with 3 young people accompanying them. I heard that after Lin Guizhu left, she was very disappointed and said she would come back tomorrow. Chapter 8. Encountering Ex-Husband. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Can you drive here these days? No way. Now the administrative department of the entire county probably only has 1 jeep available, and this woman seems to have an extraordinary status. Exploring all the situations, Xia Yan is not in a hurry anymore. Anyway, that woman said she would come again tomorrow. She's just waiting at home, okay? When we meet, all the truth will come to light. Xia Yan went to the nearby small hill to gather pig grass. Take out a small sickle from the basket and start cutting with tender grass. These movements have muscle memory, and Xia Yan found that even if she had never cut pigsty, it was easy to do. I did a lot of agricultural work in my original body. After cutting a basket of pigweed, Xia Yan saw that it was almost done and prepared to go home. Xia Yan, daughter.in.law, are you back? My mother said you're back, cutting pigsty in the back mountain. You want to kill me, and my daughter.in.law wants me to hug you. At this moment, a plump figure suddenly appeared behind the grass, muttering to himself. Seeing Xia Yan's beautiful face, his eyes suddenly lit up and he was stunned. Sun Tianfu. Stupid kid, your heart hasn't died yet because you want to eat swan meat. Xia Yan didn't run away, looking happily at the fool drooling in front of her. As a genius doctor who manipulates the life and death of patients, Xia Yan has seen so many grand scenes that she wouldn't be afraid of a fool. Sun Tianfu was stunned instead. Previously, when Xia Yan was alone and saw him, she would lose her face and scream in agony, which made him feel particularly stimulated and even aroused his stronger teasing heart. Now Xia Yan, who is calm and composed, doesn't even understand how to deal with it next. After all, he is only 7 or 8 years old with an IQ, so he is really stupid not following the original routine. Seeing Sun Tianfu standing in place, Xia Yan casually picked up her backpack and turned around before leaving. Xia Yan, I want to sleep with you. I want to have a child with you. When Xia Yan walked to the village entrance, Sun Tianfu finally regained his senses and chased after him. As soon as he approached, he started shouting loudly. The villagers working in the village were all shocked. Xia Yan seemed to feel that countless pairs of gossip ears were tingling. Who do you usually sleep with at night? Xia Yan stopped and asked him in reverse. Seeing Xia Yan not avoiding, crying, or screaming, Sun Tianfu felt uncomfortable all over. Xia Yan's different behavior from before went beyond his scope of coping. He nervously pinched his chubby hand and said, "Sleep with my mom." Bang! Someone beside me chuckled. Everyone suddenly understood that this fool had become foolish again. Do you still wet the bed? Does your mother hit you? Wet the bed. My mom hit me, it hurts my butt. When Sun Tianfu spoke, his eyes were filled with tears and he even touched his buttocks, suddenly becoming a child of Wei Chu Baba. A few more laughter came from around. That's right, still wet the bed. What about sleeping and having children? Even a fool is still a child. Sun Tianfu's teasing of Xia Yan was originally a topic of peach blossom in his spare time, but now Xia Yan has successfully distorted his art style and turned him into an adult coaxing fool. A silly child who still sleeps with his mother. If he continues to fuss and talk dirty, everyone will only treat him as a fool's babbling. No fun. Scattered, scattered. If you have time to listen to fools say stupid things, why not wave your hoe a few more times and plant a variety of vegetables? Ask your mother to pick these herbs and stew soup for 3 days without wetting the bed at night. Xia Yan took out a pen and paper from her pocket, wrote a few lines of the medicine name with a swish, and handed it to Sun Tianfu. No matter how foolish Sun Tianfu is, he knows that bedwetting is not appropriate. Not only is his buttocks soaked in urine, but he will also be beaten by his mother. As soon as he heard that there was a prescription that could cure his illness, he held on to this piece of paper and didn't bother harassing Xia Yan anymore. Excitedly, he went home to find Lu Yinpan and stuffed the paper into his hand. Mom, Xia Yan said that after taking these pills, you won't be able to wet the bed, so you don't have to hit me anymore. Lu Yinpan. Countryside people, when they have a headache and a fever, always pick herbs and make soup to drink. They only go to the clinic to see a doctor if they can't hold on anymore, so everyone knows some herbs to some extent. Lu Yinpan picked up the prescription and saw that there were 1 or 2 medicinal properties. She knew that it could tonify the kidneys and relieve astringency, and it seemed that it could really treat bedwetting. The county seat where Xiajia village is located is called Taoyuan County. At this moment, Xia Ran sat on the wooden sofa at the Taoyuan County guest house, took the hot tea from her daughter Xia Shuang's hand, took several sips, and slowly regained her blood color on her face. Mom, could that Lin Guizhu have heard the wind and deliberately avoided it? Xia Shuang has a straight waist, indicating that she has received professional training. Her appearance is very similar to that of her mother, making her a beauty that cannot be ignored. However, her demeanor will never be seen as a vase. She is just an ordinary rural woman and cannot get wind of it. Xia Ran took another sip of water, her expression still tinged with excitement. Mom, calm down. It's been 20 years and no one knows what happened. Maybe my sister is no longer here, or maybe she's not doing well. You need to be mentally prepared. I understand everything, don't worry. Xia Ran's eyes were slightly damp. I still have the medicine for my heart with me. I won't be able to accompany you tomorrow. The deadline for reporting to the new unit has arrived. Summer Frost is truly regretful. It's okay, with Xiao Wang and Xiao Li following, don't worry. Even if Lin Guizhu is really the woman who talked to you back then, but she refuses to admit it, what should she do? Xia Shuang took the difficulties into consideration and deliberately reminded her mother to be mentally prepared, so that her mother's heart could not be stimulated in the future. My mother's heart disease has been discovered for 5 years, and the doctor said it is advisable to have surgery as soon as possible. However, currently, doctors in China are unable to perform this surgery, which is too complicated. I heard that this surgery can be performed abroad. However, as a member of the Lu family, the procedures for going abroad are particularly complicated, so I have been undergoing conservative treatment. Xia Shuang kept beating her mother all the way, making her mentally prepared to avoid excessive emotional fluctuations that could worsen her heart disease. When I first learned about this 6 years ago, I was scratching my heart and lungs, unable to sleep all night. It was probably only then that my heart problem erupted. After so many years, I have imagined everything and can now bear it psychologically. But as we get closer to the truth of the matter, our emotions inevitably fluctuate. Xia Shuang nodded and said, Mom, just be mentally prepared. I've finished my car's sickness medicine, Xiao Shuang. Let's go to a pharmacy to buy some medicine and take a walk. I haven't come back for many years, so there seems to be no change here. Xia Ran said so, of course Xia Shuang wouldn't refuse. The mother and daughter left the guest house and passed by a middle school. Xia Ran was stunned for a moment, but she didn't expect to turn off an alley and end up here. Xia Ran. Are you Xia Ran? The mother and daughter turned around at the same time and looked at the man who was speaking. Is it you? Xia Ran frowned. The world was too small, and it was rare to come back. She unexpectedly ran into her ex-husband, and she did not have the joy of reuniting. Chapter 9. Taking it for granted from the younger brother. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Zhang Weibing's temples were slightly grayish-white, and he was dressed in a gray-blue cadre uniform with a square collar and 4 pockets. The front was stained with chalk and gray, and he was holding lecture notes under his armpits. He should still be a teacher at this high school. Seeing Xia Ran, his expression was mixed with various flavors. Xia Ran had no intention of talking to him, but nodded lightly and pulled Xia Shuang away. Mom, who is he? Xia Shuang felt a sense in her heart, but did not directly identify the other party's identity. Zhang Weibing. Xia Ran's tone was very light, as if the vivid memories of living with this man were now just layers of thin paper, which could be easily peeled off. Xia Ran called it by name. Xia Shuang felt a slight movement in her heart when she met her biological father, but there was not much turbulence. After their sisters were born, Zhang Weibing abandoned them. His mother divorced him and dragged them to grow up all the way, so their sisters all followed their mother's surname, Xia. Xia Shuang did not regret Zhang Weibing's absence, as her stepfather Lu Chang provided them with enough fatherly love. In their lives, fatherly love is not lacking. I didn't expect it to be him, it's the first time I've seen him. Xia Shuang, like her mother, spoke in a light tone. Xia Ran said, the pharmacy has arrived. Xia Ran didn't want to bring up this person again and diverted the topic. The mother and daughter entered the pharmacy, and behind them, someone followed them all the way, very cautious, but they didn't notice. When Xia Yan carried the pig grass back home, she found that the bicycle left in front of the house was missing. It was probably Xia An and the others who had ridden it to play. She doesn't mind either. She has seen luxury cars from later generations, and bicycles are just bicycles. In fact, the quality of bicycles is very good now. As long as you are not afraid of getting the paint off, there is no problem riding them. Just as he put down the pigsty, Xia Guang came in and caught her, saying, "Sister, Xiaohua said that she will be engaged next month. If she gets engaged, I really won't have a chance. Sister, can you divorce someone surnamed Shi? Sun Dafu is a fool anyway, and he won't mind you getting married. As long as you marry Sun Dafu, I can marry Xiaohua without spending any dowry money." Xia Guang stood behind Xia Yan, tears streaming down his face. Xia Yan saw that he had lost more than 10 pounds, and it seemed that he truly loved Xiaohua. It was so touching. Unfortunately, this touching love, calculated on her body, is fed on devouring her happiness, which is not good. Great, not good. At a young age, calculating sister. Xia Guang, breaking the discipline of marriage will result in punishment. As long as Shirley does not agree to divorce, I cannot. Besides, I am doing well with him now and do not want to divorce. Xia Yan has come here several times to declare that she does not want a divorce. Sister, who is not married? You married Shirley, so far from home. If he bullies you, we will know it's too late. Who will protect you? If you marry Sun Tianfu in this village, if they dare to bully you, our whole family will arrive soon. Do you think that's the right thing to do? Also, although Sun Tianfu is a bit foolish, the children you give birth to will definitely not be foolish. With children, you will have dependents in the future. The village chief's family is so wealthy, with only Sun Tianfu as the only son. If you want to marry him, how much will you earn in the future? Xia Guang's words have obviously been brewing for quite some time, they are simply completed in one go. Sister used to be easy to persuade, but he didn't believe it. These words are very pleasing to the ear, and she won't be moved. Xia Guang, there's nothing to say about this matter. If you want to marry Xiaohua, use honest and upright means to persuade the village chief and Xiaohua to also show her attitude of not marrying unless you do. As for exchanging me, it is impossible. As I have just said, this is a disciplinary marriage, and whoever breaks it will be sentenced. Shirley is very kind to me and didn't bully me. Let me say for the last time that I won't divorce him. Don't try any more tricks. Xia Yan's attitude is very resolute. Xia Guang was stunned. He didn't expect that Xia Yan suddenly became enlightened. Don't listen to their instigation. Watching Xia Guang stuttering, Xia Yan felt incredibly happy in her heart. The little abacus beads are beating with a resounding sound. Let you calculate, sister. I will never let you calculate again in the future. Xia Yan, actually we have agreed to support you and Shirley in divorcing and marrying Sun Tianfu at home. In this way, Xia Guang can marry Xiaohua. Xia Guang has one mind and likes Xiaohua, but he doesn't marry anyone else. Whether their marriage can be successful or not depends entirely on you. You are a big sister, you have always been very sensible, do you understand? Just fulfill your brother. Unexpectedly, Lin Guizhu rushed over upon hearing the sound and also expressed her affection. Is this the rhythm of being forced to rise up in groups? Xia Yan chuckled and said, Mom, I think Xia Chao is about the same age now. Otherwise, how about you let Xia Chao marry Sun Tianfu? How can this be? Xia Chao is still young, and she doesn't like fools. Every time she sees fools, she cries in fear. Lin Guizhu blurted out. Xia Yan remained silent and looked at her with a smile on her face. Lin Guizhu was momentarily speechless, knowing that she was speaking too quickly, but was caught by Xia Yan, which made her a bit embarrassed. Xia Yan ignored them and returned to her room before getting married. Pushing open the door, I realized that my bed had been moved away. The room has turned into a miscellaneous room for stacking miscellaneous items. Summer Wheat, where's my bed? Summer Wheat happened to pass by, Xia Yan asked. Dad thinks it's taking up space and has taken down your bed. Since you rarely go home, there's no need to keep a useless bed. Mom said, if your daughter gets married and splashes water, you'll be the guest. How could there be a reason to keep a bed for guests? When Xia Mai said these words, she didn't feel like she was going to spill them out one day. Xia Yan felt that she couldn't stay in this family anymore. Raise your wrist and look at the plum blossom watch. It's currently 5 p.m., so it's not too late to go back to Yunshan base now. Xia Yan couldn't help feeling a sense of sadness for the original owner in her heart. Xia Yan went out and happened to see Xian stumble back on her bike. She stepped forward to pick it up. Sister, what are you doing? Where are you going? Xia An's bicycle was unexpectedly taken away by her sister, so she quickly asked. Didn't you see that the car chain is loose? I'll tighten it a bit. Xia Yan supported the car tripod and then used a screwdriver to tighten the screws behind the chain box that controlled the car chain. The loose car chain was tightened. She said to Xian, you get on the bike and ride it, try how you feel. Oh, sister, you're really good. No wonder you didn't step on it well and didn't use your strength just now. It turns out the chain was loose. Xian rode around in front of the yard excitedly. Xia Yan had an impulse to go back immediately just now, but she suddenly thought that the city woman would come tomorrow. She decided to stay at home for the night and see the situation tomorrow before making a decision. During dinner, the atmosphere was very dull. Lin Guizhu and Xia Guang remained calm and silent, their expressions affecting everyone's emotions. They carried vegetables and ran to the stone bar in front of the yard, each eating their own. Although Xia Yan returned to her parents' home for a long time, she didn't add any food tonight, but it was still porridge, pickles and boiled pumpkin. Chapter 10. Who is the killer? You are listening at novelfull.audio. At night, Xia Yan slept with Xia Chao and Xia Mai. They shared a bed and squeezed out a bed for Xia Yan to sleep on. In the middle of the night, Xia Yan woke up and went to the restroom in the courtyard to solve the problem. Fortunately, the day had passed, otherwise it would have been a great adventure for her to use such a toilet. When she was about to enter the house, she heard a creaking sound from the fenced door in the front yard, as if someone had entered. She poked her head and saw, under the moonlight, who was Xia Guang running into the house in a panic. This guy went on a date in the middle of the night. Xia Yan was too lazy to think and went back to her room to sleep. At dawn, Xia Yan was awakened by a burst of exclamation. There are people making a lot of noise on the village road. Xiaocao and Shimai were also awakened, and they woke up in a daze. When they heard the noise, they couldn't help but curse. What's up? It's noisy in the morning. It seems like something happened. Xia Yan vaguely heard someone shouting on the village road that someone had died. Hurry up, everyone can't lie down anymore, wake up to watch the excitement. As soon as I left the yard, I saw a pile of villagers surrounded by a small river 500 meters ahead. Obviously, the incident occurred there. Almost everyone in the Xia family got up and curiously headed towards the river. What about Xia Guang? After arriving by the river, Lin Guizhu saw that all her children had come, but didn't see Xia Guang. She casually asked. He's still asleep. Thunder can't wake him up. Xia Andao, who lives next to Xia Guang's house. Several men who knew how to swim splashed in the water, trying to catch people by the river. Who is it? It fell into the water. Lin Guizhu murmured. I don't know. Old Jiang got up early and brought his ox here to graze, only to see a person floating on the surface of the water, motionless. He quickly went back to the village to call for someone. It hasn't been retrieved yet, and I don't know who it is. The early villagers became gossipers. Upon hearing that it was a drowning accident, Xia Yan didn't have much to look at. If she had been soaking for so long, she would definitely have died. If she had just fallen and been rescued, she could also help with artificial respiration and see if she could be rescued. In this situation, there's nothing more for her. The drowning one is Sun Tianfu, the village head's family. At this moment, when the person reached the riverbank and saw the drowning person's face, everyone exclaimed in surprise. Xia Yan's heart was pounding. Sun Tianfu. Surprisingly, it's Sun Tianfu. Why is it Sun Tianfu? Upon hearing that it was Sun Tianfu, some went to report to the village chief, while others playfully watched the Xia family. Everyone knows that the village chief wanted to switch ties with the Xia family before, but it didn't work out. Xia Guang still couldn't let go of Sun Xiaohua, which is also well known. Lin Guizhu's face turned pale. Xia Yan thought of Xia Guang returning late and had a vague speculation in her heart. In no time, Lu Yinpan, who had received the news, rushed over in tears. Sun, the village chief, had a stern face and looked at his foolish son, who had become even fatter from soaking, with red circles around his eyes. Even a fool is still a son who can carry on the family line. Now that he's good, even his foolish son is gone. Isn't his grandson's family cut off and extinct? My family's Tianfu must have been killed by someone. Report it, I want to report it. Sun, the village chief, was extremely sad and immediately arranged for a clever young villager to call the local police station. Lin Guizhu quietly retreated towards the crowd and quickly disappeared. Xia Yan glanced and saw Lin Guizhu withdraw from the crowd. Some things have their own cause and effect, and it's not her business. She watched it quietly and had nothing to do with her. If she were to move around now, it might involve her. According to her speculation, Lin Guizhu must have gone to question Xia Guang. If Xia Guang was involved in this matter, Lin Guizhu would definitely arrange for him to escape. If she followed back now, she would have become a shield offender. It's better for her to stay here quietly like a chicken, as there are so many people on site that she can serve as proof that she is not a sheltered criminal. Brother, how could you drown? You said you wanted to talk to Xia Guang well. Woo, I shouldn't have let you be alone with him. As soon as Sun Xiaohua arrived at the scene, she saw that Sun Tianfu was completely dead and knelt beside him with a thud, crying into tears. But the words she cried out of her mouth shocked everyone. Xiaohua, make it clear that your brother ended up with that kid Xia Guang. In Sun Village Chief's words, a murderous aura had already risen. Yes, last night Xia Guang invited me and advised me to discuss with my family to marry him. He was willing to double the dowry. Her sister got married and received a lot of dowry. He wanted to give it all to our family, enough to buy my brother a wife from another city. He said it would be enough to buy a college student. When I was speaking, my brother didn't know how to follow me and scolded Xia Guang for kidnapping me. Xia Guang asked me to go back first, he will talk to my brother well. I thought he was going to tell my brother about buying a wife, so I left first. I never expected that my brother would drown. Xiaohua is young and timid. When she encounters such a situation, she talks about pouring beans from the bamboo tube. Upon hearing what Xiaohua said, the villagers caused a sensation. Although everyone hasn't read much books, they have life experience. When Xiaohua said this, they all thought that Xia Guang was too suspicious. Perhaps he was the murderer, and there was a lot of discussion. Because Sun Tianfu grew up by this river from a young age and suddenly drowned in the river, it doesn't make sense to say he fell or committed suicide. Where's Xia Guang? Someone, go and catch him. I heard it was a homicide case, and the rural police station, in conjunction with the county's criminal investigation team, dispatched a total of about 10 people. At this time, they also rushed to the scene urgently. Upon hearing Xiaohua's words, the police immediately divided their troops into two groups. One went to the Xia family to detain people, and the other went to the scene to observe. The people of the Xia family didn't expect that they would feel embarrassed standing on the scene after eating melons on themselves. The villagers around quietly distanced themselves from them, and as a result, a group of Xia family members were isolated into an island. Xia Yan felt her nose and was speechless. However, she is not very nervous because it is irrelevant and she did not commit the crime. What is she afraid of? Xia Yan was watching the excitement with all her might, tiptoed up with interest, watching with relish. Unexpectedly, outside the crowd, someone was staring at her intently, lost in thought. Xia Yan thinks that although there are no modern tools available now, the criminal investigation methods are still quite powerful. The public security has already conducted investigations by the river and started to mold and extract footprints. Forensic doctors conduct on-site autopsy. Although there were many people by the river, no one had stepped on the suspected drowning point, and fortunately, the scene was preserved. She is studying medicine, so she wouldn't be afraid of corpses. She is staring at the forensic doctor's every move with wide eyes. Someone behind her might have patted her shoulder. "Hello, may I ask if you are Xia Yan? Are you available now? I have something to talk to you about." Xia Yan turned around and saw a strange young man with a shaved head, a white shirt, and blue cardigan pants. Judging from his straight physique, it seemed that he was engaged in a job of the same nature as Shirley. "Free, what's up?" Xia Yan was just watching the excitement, she didn't have anything to do with her, so she spoke confidently. In fact, seeing the other person's big city youth demeanor, she basically knew who the other person was in her heart. "Could you please come with me?" The young man took Xia Yan directly to the village entrance. A military green unlicensed jeep is quietly parked at the village entrance.